Hey, what's up guys? Brian back here with another collection update. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm doing well myself, so let's get right into it. Right now, we're listening to AS with Mesa Prima. This is raw and avant-garde black metal out of Italy. And this is brought to you by Tour de Garde Productions. This is really good stuff. This is a collection of old recordings made by members of the Venom Sabati Circle, which were forgotten and buried. Unreleased until today, these haunting, ritualistic profanations of atmospheric black metal were conceived and performed at the beginning of the third millennium, and they are now officially available for the first time. So check this out. Get this from Tour de Garde or wherever you can get it. It's really good raw black metal with avant-garde elements. I really enjoy this. They have a full length called Necrovenito as well. That's more recent, but this is definitely the better material in my opinion. So I'm glad to have this. AS with Mesa Prima. And I have the usual tapes, CDs, and some vinyl to show today. So let's get started with the first tape, and that's going to be Crypta with Hypnos. And this is Emotiv black metal out of Germany with some reverby vocals, so there's an echo effect, which sounds really cool on this album. A lot of emotive guitar melodies and emotive guitar solos even. And there's some piano sections on here too that just make this a really powerful sounding album and emotive. So this is definitely one of my favorite albums from this year so far. So if this sounds something you're into, check out Hypnos by Crypta. And this is on Narbentage Productions Bandcamp. So you can check that out on there. Listen to it first, and if it's something you like, you can buy it straight from their Bandcamp page. I bought another tape from them as well, from Narbentage Productions, and that tape was Licked On Satin with Vibe Hunter Rave. And what this is raw black metal with acoustic guitars. It's all done in acoustic guitars, but it sounds very raw, especially the vocals. The vocals are hollow and raw sounding, and it's just a cool combination of acoustic guitars and raw vocals. It just makes it a unique listen all around, and that'll definitely be one of my favorite albums at the end of the year, with Licked On Satin with Wide Winter Rave. Also from Narbentage Productions. I got number 3 out of 66. And Vibe Hunter Rave is German for the pied raven. It lived exclusively on the Faroe Islands until humans hunted it to extinction in the mid-20th century. This album was developed over a number of years and finally honed into shape in a home studio in 2018. The acoustic instruments used were homemade 6-string bass and a homemade guitar. All instruments, vocals, arrangements, and mastering are done by Stefan Johans. And I'm guessing that's the pied raven right there on the cover. So check out Licked On Satin with Vibe Hunter Rave. I need to give both of those albums some more time, but from what I've heard from them, definitely going to be best of at the end of the year for me. Alright, next up is Kenapa Dwell with Race of Seers. And this is just a blank cassette. This is from Tortigard also, but I just got this one in their recent update. There's no info on this, but I like the artwork, so I just went ahead and blind bought it, and I'm glad I did, because this is some it looks like a Perverse Homage release, first of all, and it kind of sounds like one as well, but this is a lot more mid-tempo and crawling approach to the music, and it's really cool mid-paced black metal. The Tortigard website said this about the album: it's a haunted, reeking offering from a bottomless pit full of tormented melodies and and agonizing vocals, mid-tempo black metal full of putrid ambience. So that's what Tortigard put in the description of it, and it's a pretty short demo, but hopefully this is what is a preview of things to come for Kenapa Dwell in the future. So I'll be looking forward to more from Kenapa Dwell. Next up, Yawning Void with Streams Within. And this is blackened Death Doom from Finland. Blank cassette, simple J card, weird artwork, credits. Pretty cool blackened Death Doom, some black metal vocals, but the instruments are mostly Death Doom, and there's some guttural vocals on here as well, like a lot of Death Doom, and there's some spaced out synths on here as well, giving it a feel, a spacey feel, that you're in space near a yawning void, or a black hole, I guess, is what they were going for with their name and the sound. So check out Yawning Void with Streams Within. Next up, Sacrilegious Crown with Flagellated Temple. A brand new 2019 demo from Sacrilegious Crown on a printed pro tape, brought to you by Black Gangrene Productions. This is a very short and noisy demo from Sacrilegious Crown, and it's definitely not their best material. I blind bought it because of their 2017 album, self-titled, was so good. I thought this was going to be equally as good, but it was not. It was definitely not as good as that one. And the last tape I have today is Val with Undued Ritual. On a red tape with black printing of the Ouroboros dragon. On a hard cardstock printed J card. And what's different about this than the previous Val material is this is a full lineup, and it has Val from the Grave, which I believe is the vocalist, In Vunch 6-string Razorhill, which I believe is the lead guitar, Zag 4-string Deathskies with the bass, I'm assuming, Morden with Keys to the Gate, which is rhythm guitar, and Wolfram on Coffins, which I believe is drums. Alright, and to get into the CDs, I'm I'm going to start with some non-metal albums. The first one is the Hearse, with just the Hearse self-titled album. Brought to you by Gothic Music Productions out of Finland, I believe they are based. This is some post-punk, death rock, gothic rock out of the Peterborough, UK, and this is pretty good stuff if you're into that kind of post-punk, death rock, gothic rock. Check out the Hearse. Next up, Yabansi with Grimorium, and this is gothic rock and it's girl fronted, and it's like a spell book of sounds. It's very witchy, it reminds me of The Devil's Blood almost, the vocals do. Even though this is gothic rock, it reminds me of The Devil's Blood a lot, which is one of my favorite bands. So definitely didn't hurt that this sounded like them. Really good album, Yabansi with Grimorium. Next up, Bleg with Solar Megan, and I believe this came out last year in 2018. Brought to you by Nordvis Productions, and this came in this cardboard fold-out little digipack thing with little pull-out CDs. It's a double CD. There's one of the CDs on this side, and there's another CD over here. This is really good atmospheric black metal that I haven't heard much people talk about, and I don't know why, because this is so good. They just did a split with Nikakwin, and which is through Nordvis, and I believe Beinroom is getting copies of them too. So hopefully people will start noticing Bleg now, since they did a split with Nikakwin, and Bleg is writing new material, so I'm very excited for that, as well as Nikakwin's writing new material. But I'm really excited for the Bleg stuff because I'm a huge fan of Bleg. So check out Bleg with Solar Megan. Don't sleep on that CD. Alright, next up, Moon Citadel with Moon Calls the Wonder and The Winter's Majesty. I believe those are his 2 EPs. One of them's an EP and one of them's a demo, and they're both on this CD. It kind of got dinged up in transport, so I put this plastic around it so it wouldn't get messed up anymore, but it's really cool. Hold on one second. I got this patch with it as well. I'll show you that, since I got the patch with it when I ordered it from Darker Than Black, I believe. That's a really cool patch. I might put that on my denim jacket one day. Maybe not. Alright, next CD is The Sisters of Mercy, another non-metal album. This one is First and Last and Always, and this one is from 1985. This is my personal favorite Sisters of Mercy album. There's so many good songs on here. Black Planet, No Time to Cry, Marion, Rockin' a Hard Place, First, Last and Always, Possession, Logic, Some Kind of Stranger. This is just a classic album, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time as well. So check out Sisters of Mercy, First and Last and Always, if you have not. Alright, the last CD is Purity Renaissance with self-titled, brought to you by Tour de Garde. I've been really wanting this album, but the EP and the tape are going for exorbitant amounts on Discogs. So when I saw they did the CD version on Tour de Garde, I immediately ordered it. And this is some of the best raw black metal to come out as of recently. It has really majestic and triumphant sounding guitar riffs, and the vocals are a howling scream. They're not really full on howls, but they're like a screaming howl, and they're just really good. The choruses are really good. The guitar riffs start to get more majestic as the album goes through, and it's just one of the best raw black metal albums as of recent years. Check out Purity Renaissance with their self-titled from Tour de Garde. And they gave me this cool sticker when I ordered that and a Kenapa Dwell tape. Alright, man, time to get into the vinyls finally. And the first one is a non-metal album from this year, and that is Alter de Fe with the Insatiable Desire. And this is Deathrock out of California. And this is through Occult Whispers Records out of the US. This is really dark Deathrock, and it's not the cheesy kind of Deathrock. It's the kind of Deathrock I like. It's dark and with the good vocals, good instrumentation. It's really cool, almost esoteric sounding Deathrock, and I recommend this very much so if you're into that. Alter de Fe, the Insatiable Desire. And it just came with this cool printed sleeve, but I'm not going to use it for the vinyl. I'm just going to keep it in there with all the lyrics on each side. Really cool printed little sleeve. So that's one of the best albums of the year for me. Next up is a split that came out at the very end of last year, and I just started knowing about it this year. But this is the Cnote and Circle of Ouroboros split from December of last year. It came out very late at the end of the year, so I wasn't able to listen to it until this year. And this is brought to you by Final Agony Productions. And this is Cnote from France and Circle of Ouroboros from Finland. And if you guys haven't heard of any of those bands, Circle of Ouroboros is a pretty well-known band out of Finland, and Cnote is a new up-and-coming band, but they've had a couple EPs already, and they've had one earlier this year through Nuclear War Now, which is really good. But I will say that this is my favorite Cnote material on this split right here. It's just something about them not having to stick to a certain formula that they've had to on their previous material. They were able to experiment a lot more on this one. And being on a split with Circle of Ouroboros, you kind of have to step your game up and experiment a little bit so you can, you can compete with the other music on this split. And they definitely stepped it up and tried to compete with Circle of Ouroboros with their music on this split. There's a lot of experimentation, and there's some women chanting in the backgrounds. And it's just really cool stuff what Cnote did here. And this is some of my favorite Circle of Ouroboros material as well. They just both stepped it up on this split, and I'm so glad that I have this split because it's so good. It's one of the best splits from recent years. This is the Cnote side on the printed inner sheet with the Cnote lyrics over here and band members. And this is the Circle of Ouroboros side with their lyrics over here. Pretty simple layout, but it's really good. LP split of Cnote and Circle of Ouroboros. I've heard it called the Azure split because there's two songs called Azure by Cnote. So, but either way, it's got some really weird art on it, but the music is top notch on this split. Some of their best material from both bands on here. Cnote and Circle of Ouroboros split. Alright, and my last LP I'm going to show today. I showed the Sacrilegious Crown tape earlier and how that wasn't their best material, but this is their best material, and this is their self-titled album that I was talking about earlier from 2017, and just came with this cool clear sleeve, which I like. Just a bunch of skulls, pretty cool. Brought to you by Black Green Productions. And all these songs are Aresia 1, Aresia 2, Aresia 3, Aresia 4, and Aresia 5. Revelation, Apocryphal Ceremony, Breathless Chant, Contemplation, and Purity. Those are the 5 songs on here. But each song on here is pretty long. And this is some of the best raw black metal to come out of recent years. I was really wanting the tape when it came out, but the tape was nowhere to be found, and still is nowhere to be found. You can't find the tape anywhere. So whenever Black Gangrene came out with this LP, I was glad they did, so we can get physical copies so we can listen to it. This is just so good raw black metal in recent years. And I have some stuff coming from Signal Rex, a pre-order I did of some tapes. I have a bunch of other stuff coming in as well, so I'll have another update pretty soon. So I'm glad you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much. Have a great day.